It's 2001. Street racing is about to explode on the big screen, and one car steals the spotlight. A menacing black 1970 Dodge Charger RT wide stance, blower through the hood, and a legend whispered in Dom Toretto's voice. I live my life a quarter mile at a time. But here's the twist. Behind the chrome, the Charger in the Fast and the Furious wasn't just one car. It was a fleet, built, modified, even sacrificed to bring that one cinematic beast to life. Some were real RTS, others, clever fakes. And the secrets run deeper than nitrous lines. Today, we're counting down 20 weird facts you didn't know about the 1970 Charger RT from the Fast and the Furious. And wait till you hear why number 1 almost never made it to production. The 1970 Charger RT already stood as Mopar's muscle king. But once Hollywood got hold of it, the legend grew far beyond the drag strip. From wrecked stunt doubles to Hollywood myths, this car's story is as wild as its 426 HEMI option. Stick around, because every fact pulls back another layer of smoke. And hey, if you love uncovering the strangest secrets behind muscle cars and movie icons, hit that like button, subscribe, and buckle in. Because the real story of Dom's Charger is about to get weird. Not just one car, at least 5 Chargers were used. Dom's hero Charger wasn't a single pristine machine, it was a fleet. Universal Pictures sourced at least 5 separate 1970 Chargers, each serving a different purpose. Some were authentic RTs with 440 cubic inch Magnum engines, while others were plain Jane Chargers dressed up to look the part. One was rigged with a fake blower for close-up shots, another was gutted for stunt work, and at least one met its end in the infamous wheelie and crash sequence. Here's the kicker. Collectors later tracked down survivors, piecing together which was which from VIN tags and roll cage scars. Spotting a movie Charger today? Look for unusual reinforcements under the frame rails, evidence of stunt duty. And if you think 5 cars is excessive, wait until you see how many different paint codes were involved. The blower, 100% fake. That iconic Roots-style supercharger poking through the hood, pure Hollywood smoke and mirrors. The production team bolted a non-functional 871 blower atop a 440 engine. Why? A real blower would have been unpredictable, dangerous, and nearly impossible to coordinate for continuity during multiple takes. Instead, the whine and hiss of the blower were sound effects added later. But there's a twist. The fake unit fooled plenty of fans into thinking Dom's Charger had 900 horsepower on tap. Reality check. It was closer to 375 horsepower in stock trim. Collectors today know to check if the blower pulleys are connected. On screen, they weren't. And here's the kicker. That fake blower became more iconic than most real ones, inspiring thousands of aftermarket clones. The wheelie was real. Sort of. Remember the AZO, heart-stopping wheel stand at the climax? Universal didn't rely on CGI. The stunt team built a hydraulic system under one Charger's trunk, allowing the nose to lift like a genuine drag car pulling the front wheels. Here's the twist. While real 426 HEMI Chargers at the strip could yank a wheelie, Hollywood wasn't about to risk a $100,000 stunt fail. The hydraulic rig was disguised under the body, giving viewers the impression of brute Mopar torque. Spotter's tip. If you look closely, the rear suspension doesn't compress like it would on an actual drag launch. That subtle detail gives away the movie magic. Even more shocking? That hydraulic stunt car didn't survive long. It was written off after repeated takes. Paul Walker almost drove it instead. Dom's Charger was nearly Brian's ride. Early drafts of the script allegedly placed Paul Walker's character behind the wheel of the black Charger. while Dom would have been paired with a Chevelle. Universal pivoted, recognizing the Charger's sinister profile matched Vin Diesel's screen presence. Why? Because the Charger already symbolized outlaw rebellion, thanks to a history of appearing in street and drag culture since the late 60s. The switch gave the Charger a personality as fierce as its driver. Here's the kicker. Paul Walker didn't lose out. In sequels, his garage still featured Mopar muscle, but never the Charger that became forever linked to Dom. And if that alternate casting sounds wild, wait until you hear which legendary drag racer nearly supplied parts for the build. Dodge didn't provide a single car. Unlike later Fast and Furious films, where automakers lined up for product placement, Dodge didn't officially supply a single Charger for the first movie. Instead, Universal hunted them down through classified ads, local car clubs, and junkyards. Prices then? Around $15,000 to $20,000 for a running 1970 RT, a far cry from the six-figure sums they fetch today. And that's not all. Because Dodge wasn't involved, the film crew had creative freedom to hack, cut, and even destroy the cars without corporate oversight. Collectors still grumble about the lost Chargers of Hollywood, but here's the twist. Without that independence, we may never have seen Dom's car in such raw, untamed form. The roll cage was hidden in plain sight. That clean black interior, it hid a stuntman's best friend. Every stunt Charger in the Fast and the Furious had a full roll cage welded into the frame. The bars were painted black and tucked behind seats, so on camera they disappeared. Why? Because even simple shots risked flips and crashes. Here's the kicker. One Charger's cage extended into the trunk, designed to support the hydraulic wheelie system. Collectors who've tracked these stunt cars say you can spot the survivors by looking for cut seams in the rear quarter panels, evidence of cage installation. Today, if you're hunting a genuine movie Charger, the hidden roll cage mounts are your best clue. And if you think safety cages kill authenticity, wait until you hear how the dashboard itself was a movie prop. The dashboard had movie magic. Dom's dash looked menacing, but it wasn't exactly stock. For close-up shots, Universal built a fake dashboard with oversized gauges, designed for the camera lens to capture dramatic needle swings. The speedometer pegged far higher than a real Charger's factory unit, giving the illusion of otherworldly power. But here's the twist. Some shots used working gauges hooked into the car's wiring harness, while others were just movie props with no electronics behind them. Collectors say the stunt dashes often had mismatched screws and hand-cut bezels, a dead giveaway of their Hollywood origin. Spotters tip, a real 1970 Charger dash carries Mopar part numbers stamped on the backside. Most movie props don't. And if you think fake gauges are odd, number 13 proves even the stick shift wasn't what it seemed. The shifter wasn't always connected. Dom slamming that massive shifter into gear. Sometimes it wasn't connected to anything at all. Universal used a dummy shifter assembly, bolted to the floor for dramatic hand motions, while the car was actually driven with an automatic transmission hidden below. Why? Because stunt drivers needed reliability during chase sequences. Dropping a 4-speed stick into gear under stress risked blown clutches and retakes. Here's the kicker. When Vin Diesel power shifts in close-ups, it's often just a staged motion, not a real gear change. Car nerds spot the trick by watching how smoothly the Charger keeps rolling without the lurch of a manual shift. And if you think that's sneaky, number 12 reveals how even the tires weren't what they seemed. The tires were cheater slicks. Look close at Dom's rear tires in the drag race scenes. They appear like fat drag slicks, but in reality, the stunt cars often ran on DOT, approved street tires shaved down to resemble slicks. Why? because real racing slicks grip too hard, making controlled slides and burnouts nearly impossible on film. The modified tires gave just enough traction to look authentic, while still allowing drivers to break loose on command. Here's the twist. One Charger did briefly run real drag slicks during test shots, but it handled so violently the crew quickly swapped them. Spotter's tip for collectors: check wear patterns. Movie-used tires often have unusual bald patches, a sign they were shaved for Hollywood duty. And if tires were faked, number 11 shows how even the VIN tags tell strange stories. VIN numbers went missing. When Universal sold off the surviving Chargers after filming, something bizarre happened. Several cars had missing or mismatched VIN tags. Rumor has it, Universal pulled or altered tags to avoid legal headaches with salvage titles and liability. The twist? Collectors later tried to verify authenticity, only to discover some movie Chargers couldn't be confirmed by their VIN's period reports, suggest one car carried a VIN plate from a different Mopar entirely. That's why today, provenance relies heavily on photographic evidence, behind-the-scenes Polaroids showing body details, weld marks, and even dents unique to each car. Spotter's tip: real RT VINs start with XS29. If you see XP29, it's a Charger 500 or base model dressed up. And if VIN swaps sound shady, just wait till you hear about the insurance companies in number 10. Insurance almost killed the car. Here's a twist nobody saw coming. Movie insurers nearly banned the Charger from stunts. By 2000, the 1970 Charger was already a rare collectible, and insurers balked at covering high-speed crashes. Universal's workaround? They designated some cars as picture cars and others as stunt cars. Even more shocking, stunt doubles were sometimes titled as parts cars, legally reducing their insured value. This loophole let Universal smash up Chargers without paying astronomical premiums. Collectors grumble that insurers indirectly caused the destruction of real RTS, since cheaper clones were harder to find in time. And here's the kicker. Without this workaround, Dom's Charger might have been limited to static shots only. But if you think the insurance drama is wild, number 9 uncovers how even the paint itself wasn't consistent. The paint wasn't always black. Dom's Charger looks jet black, but in reality, not every car wore the same finish. At least one was painted a very dark metallic gray, which showed up better under night lighting. Another wore hastily applied black primer, chosen because it could be touched up between stunt crashes. Here's the kicker. Collectors who've examined surviving cars report paint overspray on trim and weather stripping, proof of rushed resprays between takes. Why? Because the cars had to look identical on screen, even if they didn't in daylight. Spotter's tip: genuine movie Chargers often show mismatched black shades under the hood, where repainting wasn't needed. And if multiple shades of black sounds odd, just wait until you hear how Universal faked Dom's NOS system in number 8. The NOS system was pure prop work. Dom's secret weapon? The glowing blue NOS bottles mounted in the trunk. But here's the twist. They weren't plumbed to the engine at all. In fact, the bottles were filled with compressed CO2 and wired to LED lights, purely for cinematic effect. Real nitrous systems would have been dangerous on set, especially with repeated takes under hot lights. Even more shocking? When the Charger hits NOS in the final race, the sound effects came from recordings of jet turbines, not actual nitrous purge. Collectors today hunt for the prop bottles, which occasionally pop up at auctions. Spotter's tip: the movie bottles have non-standard fittings and unusually large labels. And if you think fake NOS is wild, wait till you hear about the engine swaps in number 7. Not every Charger had a 440 or HEMI. Here's a mythbuster. Not all the movie Chargers were fire-breathing RTS. At least one was a base model Charger 500 with a 318 small block V8 swapped in. Why? Budget and availability. Universal needed multiples quickly, and genuine RTS were too pricey to risk destroying. The twist? From the outside, they were dressed up with R/T badging, fake blowers, and wide tires. Even car-savvy viewers couldn't tell. For stunt work, lighter small-block Chargers were actually easier to control and less likely to snap axles during repeated burnouts. Spotter's tip: real RTs carry reinforced K-members, engine cross-members. Most movie stunt cars didn't. And if you think swapping small blocks into R/T lookalikes is shocking, number 6 proves even the wheels weren't always Mopar originals. The wheels came from multiple eras. Look closely in different shots. You'll notice the wheels on Dom's Charger change. Some cars ran period-correct Kragar SS mags, while others wore aftermarket Weld draglights from the 1990s. Why? Continuity was less important than safety. Stunt cars often needed modern wheels strong enough to survive curb hits. The twist? Even tires differed in size between cars, with one Charger running a narrower front profile to clear suspension mods. Collectors today can tell a movie-used wheel by its weld marks. Several stunt wheels were reinforced internally. Spotter's tip: Kragar SS wheels for 1970. Mopars usually used a deeper dish than what you see in certain close-ups. And if wheels from different decades sound strange, number 5 reveals an even bigger continuity slip hiding under the hood. Continuity mistakes gave away the engines. Here's the kicker. In some scenes, Dom's Charger clearly has a 440 Magnum engine, recognizable by its intake and valve covers. In others, the stunt car shows signs of a small block or even a mocked-up motor with dummy parts. Why? Multiple cars swapped roles mid-shoot. Even more shocking, a few cars had empty engine bays, with prop blowers mounted to brackets for camera close-ups. Spotter's tip: sharp-eyed fans freeze-framing can catch missing distributor wires in one racing scene. Collectors note that survivors often show non-original welds and bolt holes from swapping engines in and out. And that's not all, because number 4 proves the Charger's cinematic fame caused one of the biggest Mopar value spikes in auction history. The movie doubled Charger prices overnight. Before The Fast and the Furious, a 1970 Charger RT fetched around $20,000 to $30,000 in good condition. After 2001, values skyrocketed. By 2005, restored examples often sold above $70,000. Today, pristine RTs command 6 figures, with HEMI versions touching $200,000 plus. Here's the twist. Many buyers specifically cited Dom's car as their inspiration. Auction houses even began marketing Chargers as Fast and Furious style to cash in. Collectors say this movie single-handedly pulled the Charger out of relative obscurity and made it a pop culture titan alongside the Mustang and Camaro. Spotter's tip: beware of clones. Many base model Chargers were rebadged and painted black to mimic the film car. But if prices are shocking, number 3 explains how one of the original stunt cars mysteriously vanished. One movie Charger disappeared without a trace. After filming Wrapped, Universal sold most Chargers to private collectors, but at least one stunt car vanished from records. Rumors swirl. Some say it was stripped for parts and scrapped. Others claim it was quietly bought by a crew member who kept it off the books. Even more intriguing, photos from behind the scenes show a unique dent in one quarter panel. Yet no collector car has surfaced with that exact damage. Here's the kicker. This missing Charger could still be sitting in a garage somewhere, hidden under decades of dust. Spotter's tip: check for unusual welds in the trunk floor where hydraulic gear once sat. And if a missing car is mysterious, number 2 proves one Charger came back from the dead. One Charger was rebuilt for sequels. Believe it or not, at least one Fast and Furious Charger lived a second life. A stunt-wrecked car from the first film was reportedly repaired and reused in Fast and Furious 4, 2009. Look close. The scars in the undercarriage match photos from the original wreck. Universal allegedly recycled the body shell to save money and maintain continuity. Collectors who've studied VIN tags and body stampings swear it's the same car, reborn with new sheet metal. Here's the twist. If true, this makes the Charger one of the few film cars to die on screen and later return. Spotter's tip: subtle frame bends in the rear rails give this car away. But as wild as that is, nothing tops number 1. The fact that this car's production almost didn't happen at all. The Charger nearly didn't exist in 1970. Here's the big reveal. The 1970 Charger itself was nearly cancelled before it reached showrooms. Dodge was struggling. Insurance premiums and federal safety regulations were hammering muscle cars. Chrysler executives debated killing the Charger after 1969. The twist? Designers fought back, arguing the facelifted 1970 model, with its loop bumper, hideaway headlights, and high-performance RT trim, would keep Dodge in the muscle race. They were right. Sales hit over 46,000 units, giving the Charger one last hurrah before emissions laws and the oil crisis dimmed its flame. Without the 1970 model, Dom's car would never have existed to become a movie icon. Even more shocking, if Chrysler had pulled the plug, Hollywood might have chosen a Chevelle or Mustang instead, rewriting automotive pop culture history. So there you have it. 20 secrets hiding in plain sight about Dom Toretto's 1970 Dodge Charger RT. From fake blowers and dummy shifters to vanished VINs and hydraulic wheelies, the car is as much Hollywood invention as Detroit steel. And yet, that blend of myth and reality is exactly why it endures. The Charger didn't just survive the Fast and Furious, it became immortal. Now I want to hear from you. Which fact blew your mind the most? The fake NOS, the missing VIN, or the car that vanished without a trace? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because the Mopar faithful will have plenty to say. And if you loved this deep dive, check out our other videos on the Mustang GT390 from Bullitt and the '53 Corvette C1. Because every car that becomes a screen legend has stories the credits never tell. Dom's Charger? It's more than muscle. It's myth on wheels.